Here we are going to discuss social linguistics. Social linguistics is a combination of two words, social and linguistics. Social means society and linguistics mean language, study of language. So social linguistics means the study of language with reference to society. It means that what is a society? Society is a judicious combination of human beings. There are men, there are women, there are children, there are old men, and it means that when they are living in a society, in order to move that society, in order to growing up of that society, for the progress of that society, all human beings need a language, because man is a social animal. Man cannot live alone. He is always in need of other people in order to grow, in order to prosper, in order to communicate, in order to fulfill his or her demands. So that's why that man is a social animal. Man needs language, society needs language. So study of language with reference to society, social system is called sociolinguistics. So if we want to describe it in a best manner, so here it is. In it, 7 types of meanings lie in line with the theory of speaking. So we'll have to keep in mind this word, that is speaking. So let us have a concentrate upon it, and then we will come to know that what actually sociolinguistics is. So mean that what are the things we discuss in a social linguistics? The very first thing that is S, and S stands for style. Style means that in social linguistics we study how different people use different languages, what styles are adopted by them, how different people even in the same community adopt different styles. Language is the same for all people, but style differs. So how style differs, how style used by men is different by the style used by women in a society. What is the style of speaking? That is the first part, and style is the man himself, and each and every person speaks or uses language with a style. So that style is called social linguistics, the study of that style. Then there is second thing is P, and P stands for participant. Participant means that who is the speaker, who is the listener, and who is the speaker or who are the listeners, or who are the speakers and who is the listener. Because whenever there is a speaker, there must be a listener, and when there is a listener, there must be a speaker. So social linguistics studies language with reference to the person who is speaking, and also with reference to the person who is listening. So participant is very much important. And then also important thing is participants' age, participants' sex, participants' gender, then participants' social status, participants' political status, participants' religious status, participants' economical status. So all these things are also part of this thing. Then there is E, and E stands for end goal. End goal means that what is the purpose of speaking. The man who is using this language, what is the end of it? What is the purpose of this? Whether his end is to convey some political message, whether his end is to convey some religious message, whether he is going to convey some economical message, whether he is going to convey some religious message, what is he going to convey? That is the end. For what purpose that language is used, this is also a part of social linguistics, because a man is a part of that society, and he is going to use the language of that very society in order to convey, in order to come to the end of or end goal of his speaking. Then there is A stands for that is called speech act, and A stands for act. Speech act means that what is the style of speaking, whether his style is formal, it is informal, or what is his style of speaking, what is the person who is listening, what is his style of, and then there is also style shifting, then there is prestige is there. So how these are, then dialect is also there, a person's individual style of speaking, that is called speech act. And when a person who is at home, his use of language will be quite different when he is at his office. It means that this is called speech act. Man moves from formal to informal style and informal to formal style, this is speech act. Then there is K. K stands for key. Key means mood of the speaker. Mood of the speaker means that when a speaker speaks, his emotions, his thoughts, his personal intentions, his own knowledge, his way of talking, each and everything is part of that. When he is using language in a society, so emotions of the speaker or mood of the speaker is also very important. And then instruments mean that how message is sent sent, whether he is going to send that message by using any that's called any media. What is the source he is using in order to convey, whether he is going to message but directly he is going to convey the message, or by using any indirect message he is going to convey. Then there is G stands for genre, mean the same with style. Genre mean what is the style of his speaking. So what is sociolinguistics? Sociolinguistics means study of language with reference to style, with reference to participants, their social status, and then with reference to purpose, then their speech act, their formal or informal, then their mood of the speaker, their emotions and feeling, then how message is conveyed, how society or different, how language is used in a society. This whole process is called sociolinguistics. According to sociolinguistics, this language is a code. And now what is code? Code is mean that it is an arbitrary set of signs, symbols, words in order to convey message. And whereas this code is concerned, it is also a part of the language variations, because this code is one thing, language is one, but there are so many variations. So in order to understand social linguistics, we will have to know that there are how many dimensions of this code, or there are how many variations of this this language. So let us move towards the very first thing, that is standard language. So standard language is study of social linguistics. Standard language means that language which is used for educational purpose, which is used for official purposes, which is used for religious purposes, and which is used for administrative purpose. It means that that language is very much important. Official language of any country is called standard language. Suppose people living in America, they speak English, they use English, and that is called American English, and people living in Australia, they also speak English, so their language is called Australian English. Then people who are living in India, they also speak English, so their English is called Indian English. But these are different types of English. The real thing is English, but they have different styles, they have adopted different styles. Then among all these, among Australian use of language, Americans use of English language, and these Indians use of English language, which thing is common? The common thing is English language. So English language is a standard language because it is used for administrative and educational purposes. Then second variation is that is called register. What is register? Now it means that we are living in a society and different people live in a society. This society is a judicious combination of different peoples. We play different roles. We play the roles of doctors, professors, teachers, drivers, buyers, sellers, movie makers. These are the roles which we play, and we also play the roles of fathers, mothers, brothers and sisters. These are also roles, and we will have to play. When a person, suppose there is a doctor, when he is talking with his patients at the clinic, his way of talking will be quite different when he is talking with his wife or with his children. It means that there is a difference. This use of language according to different situations is called register. When a teacher teaches in the class, his style of teaching is different, and when he is talking with a doctor as a patient, his way of talking is different. It means that this variation is called register. The use of language by different people at different stages in a different style is according to the situation, that is called register. This is also a code switching, and this is also called variation in language. Then there is diglasha. Diglasha, di mean two, glasha mean languages. Suppose there is a society in which there are two languages, and then how do they handle these languages? They think that they are the view that they decide that we are going to use one language for our official purposes, for our educational purposes, for our religious purposes, for our educational purposes. It means that becomes a visual language of that society. When that language becomes official, and then there is still existing another language, and then they think that now the other language we must use for everyday purposes, for our common day-to-day life. This is called diglasha. Means that there are two languages. One is used for specific purposes, for official purposes, for educational purposes. So that's important. The other is used for everyday purposes. Then there is this concept is pidgin, and then there is Creole. So what is pidgin? Pidgin mean that when British people started moving from their countries to China, and now they were there with the purpose of having business with them. Now the problem with both the people was that Chinese were not in the position to understand the English language, and English people were not in the position to understand the language of the Chinese. But still they were trying to have an exchange of business, to do business. Then what is Pidgin? At that time certain people or certain person, they think that we must produce some common words which must be understood even by the white people and also by the Chinese people, because by using or by making those words they are in the position to convey their messages. So this is called Pidgin, and this is usually called a business language. For example, there are words like hello, sorry, excuse me. So these are the words which are just created. That's not a language, that is just created from different sources. These words are created, and these can also be new in origin in order to convey their message, and then both the people from the both sides, they can come to know that what the other person is trying to say. So then this is Creole. Suppose there is a Pidgin language, and Pidgin language develops so much that it becomes main language, which is called lingua franca. When it becomes main language or lingua franca and a large number of people start using it, this is called Creole. And then there is accent. Accent means that way of talking, way of speaking. Each and every person who is living in this universe, he talks. When he talks, is how he talks, that is called accent. Some people have clear accent, some don't have clear accent, some have loud accent, some have low accent. It means that a man's personal way of talking any language is called accent. And different people, even they are using the same language, their accent will be different, and each and every person have different accent. Then there is a dialect. What is a dialect? Dialect is a temporal variation in a single language. It means that there is a language. Any language, there can be any language used in the world. So dialect means that different people, even they are the speakers of the same language, but they speak in a different manner. It is a temporal variation within that language. So that is why it is called a dialect, and it is a variation of a language from standard language. It is a part of standard language. It is not different from standard language. But because there are so many people living in different areas of the world, different areas of the country, they are all using the same language, same standard language. But maybe people living in one area are using language or speaking language in a different dialect than the people living in the other area of the same country. Both have the same language, same origin of language. So dialect is a variation of a language, and it differs in pronunciation and grammar from the standard language, and that's why it's called temporal variation within the language. Then there is dialectology. Dialectology is so simple that the study of dialects is called dialectology. When you are going to study dialects, that what are the types of dialects, what is the variation, how grammar is different, this is all dialectology. Then regional dialects mean that all those dialects which are used in any area, specific area, that's called regional dialect. And then isoglasses and dialect boundaries. There is usually a thing that's called linguistics map. On linguistics maps there are lines which are distinction of people from talking one language from the other part of area, and it means that people are living in the same area, but there is a distinction. So this is isoglasses mean that lines which are drawn upon a linguistics map in order to differentiate people who are using different languages and different dialects. And then what are dialect boundaries? Sometimes it so happens that these isoglasses start increasing in number and they start overlap, and when they start increasing in number and this overlap, these are called dialect boundaries. So these are all the variations of this, and there are also so many other variations. This is the first part of social linguistics. In the second part of social linguistics, we are going to discuss idealect, social variation, speech style, style shifting, prestige, jargon, slang, and speech accommodation.